You have given me goosebumps no fewer than 15 times as you're talking about all of these wonderful things that resonate so strongly with me, and I'm sure they will with many, many parents who will be watching this as well. You did touch on something that I would love to explore a little bit more. You talked about co-regulation versus self-soothing. That is certainly one of the myths that has perpetuated our society globally, or more years than it should have at this point. Can you talk a little bit about that and what we should be doing instead?
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. We use this term self-soothing, and we all have different preferences about how we handle our own personal distress. But when something is upsetting to me, when I'm anxious, when I'm angry, when I'm fearful, when I'm sad or disappointed, I might want to be alone for a little while, but what I need most is to be connected to people. So the whole idea of self-soothing, even when I'm by myself, I'm with a self that has internalized all these relational experiences. I can hear my mom's voice saying, just breathe, baby. I can hear my husband saying, I'm here if you need me. All of those things, there is no self, I guess, is that we can get super philosophical because the brain we are held captive to one another's nervous systems. I mean, if I go to take a drink, right? If I lift my sparkling water to take a drink and you're watching me, Sarah, your mirror neurons are firing as if you were taking a drink as well. So the whole idea of a separate self is kind of a silly idea in one way, because the way our brains and our personalities and our souls and our spirits have developed have been in the context of relationship. So I want to start with that, but then it's really, really ridiculous when we think about asking a baby with a super immature nervous system to self-soothe. It's actually such a ridiculous idea from a brain perspective and from a development perspective. And when I talk about the idea of co-regulating, which what I mean by that is when the other person is falling apart, obviously this could be your spouse or your sister or something too, but we'll talk about it in terms of children. Your child is having a tantrum, or they're freaking out about something, or they're they're complaining about something and making a big deal about something you think is ridiculous. All of those moments are opportunities for you to build your child's brain through co-regulation. So co-regulation looks like this. My kid's falling apart, they're super angry or they're super anxious, and I show up in that moment with empathy and also boundaries. We can talk about that too. But to say, you're so upset, you're so angry, you're afraid. I'm right here with you. How can I help? How can I comfort you? That's the seen and soothed part of the 4 S's. Let me give a really specific example. So my son's in the bathtub. He's upset about bath time being over. He's overtired. And I say, hey, it's time to get out. And he says, I'm not getting out. He's about 4 at the time. I'm not getting out. This isn't even a bathtub, so you can't make me get out of it. Like, he's just not even being, I don't even know what he's saying, but I don't know how to argue with that. And so one of the biggest things I get when I talk about soothing our children and co-regulating our children, the biggest feedback I get is, yeah, but doesn't that make them spoiled and indulged? And isn't that permissive? And here's why it's not. In that moment, I say to him, it's time to get out. You can either get out or I will help you get out. And I set a boundary, and boundaries help kids feel safe. So this is not at all permissiveness. And by the way, the whole point of discipline is to teach and build skills so that children become self-disciplined. And the way they learn the most, at the time they're most receptive to learning, is when they are regulated. So in the name of discipline, and by that I mean teaching, what I need to do, number 1, is to get my kid regulated so that he can listen and be open and receptive to addressing the behavior, okay? So the quickest way and the best way to get your kid to listen and be receptive and to be an effective disciplinarian is to get them regulated first. So in this moment, I say to my little guy who just walked by, who's 14 tomorrow and at least 6 inches taller than I am, and I have permission to tell this story, is I say, it's time to get out, or you can get out. And he says, I'm not getting out. And so I say, as gently as I can, I will lift you out of the tub. So I'm predictable. I tell him what's happening. As I'm lifting him out and he is screaming and kicking and losing his mind, I say, you're so mad that you have to get out. You were having fun and you're really mad you have to get out of the tub. Is that right? And he's screaming and yelling. He's not even really listening to me, but he's hearing the empathy in my voice. He's feeling the calm I have in my body, because I have to make sure I get centered first. We have to make sure we're calm first. If we're not, we need to not touch our children's bodies or open our mouths. We need to say, I need a minute to calm down and to regulate ourselves first. Because if we want to be the haven in the storm, we can't be the storm. So we have to calm our internal storm first.